Hello everyone, my name is Tsolofelo Mutwe, and today I will be doing a presentation for you on the three different models, the OSI, the TCP, and the internet model. We will dissect these models a little bit. We'll go into detail about their different purposes, their different layers, and the functions that these layers serve. We can get into it. Firstly, we will be taking a look at the OSI model, and we will be looking at its purpose and the functions of its layers. Firstly is the OSI model. The purpose of the OSI model is to guide vendors and developers so that digital communication products and software that they create will interoperate, meaning that they need to work well together at the end of the day, and they need to facilitate a clear framework that describes the functions of the networking system. Next is the layers of the OSI model. There are 7 layers to the OSI model, and the first layer is the application layer. The application layer, the main function of the application layer is to support applications for communicating over a network. Secondly, we have the presentation layer. The presentation layer basically is the function of it is to format data so that the receiver can be able to recognize the data easier. The third layer is the transport layer, and the function of the transport layer is to manage the sending of data and if it needs to be transmitted in anyhow. Next is the network layer. The function of the network layer is to add the network addresses to the data that is being sent. Then we have the data link layer. The data link layer basically adds hardware addresses. And then finally, we have the physical layer. The function of the physical layer is to transmit data in through a transmission media, wired or wireless. Now, the next model that we will take a look into is the Internet Protocol or Transmission Control Protocol model. That is called the TCP, in short, TCP/IP model. The TCP, Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol, is a set of rules that is made to ensure that a transfer of data between computers is using a network, and it involves several steps in doing so. Next, then we will be taking a look at the different layers of the TCP and IP layers. Basically, there are 4 layers to this model. The first layer is the application/process. You can either call it the application or process layer. This layer is the top layer of the TCP/IP model, and it handles the web applications at both the source and destination devices process information as it is being sent and as it is being received. Next is the host/transport layers. Now we can notice a trend regarding these layers. They contain 2 names. So meaning that at the end of the day, whether you call it the host-to-host or transport, as long as it is the appropriate name, you can't give another layer's name and one layer a name and call it another. So basically, the host-to-host or transport layer manages the data flow between devices and the type of transmission as either connection-oriented or connectionless. And then next we have the internet or network layer. This layer is responsible for addressing devices and routing data between networks. Then we have the network interface layer. Well, after the internet layer routes the packet to the correct network, this layer makes sure that the data is sent to the correct device and not the incorrect device. And the last model that we will take a look at is called the internet model. The purpose of the internet model. The OSI and the internet model have a lot in common. but the internet model mainly dominates current hardware and software. So that is the purpose of the OSI model. The purpose of the OSI model is to dominate current hardware and software. Then we will have a look at the difference between the internet and the TCP/IP model. There's only one major difference between the internet and TCP/IP model, is that unlike the TCP or IP model, the internet model is not inclusive of a physical layer, as we have noticed when we were taking a look at the different layers. That marks the end of my presentation. I hope you have had a good session with me. My name is Tulufelo Mote, and thank you for your time.